detail that's often mentioned. Gere was a longtime musician, and the piano melody played in the hotel scene is said to have been something he composed himself a night before filming, rather than a piece written into the script. Accounts also describe Gere as personally uneasy with aspects of the story's premise, reportedly seeing it as a fantasy that glamorized wealth and power even as he committed fully to the role. Late in the film, Edward's controlled demeanor breaks when he shoves his associate Philip Stuckey during a confrontation. Marshall reportedly wanted the moment to feel unscripted, encouraging Gere and actor Jason Alexander to improvise rather than choreograph the fight. According to the story, the resulting take got more physical than planned, with Alexander apparently dislodging a dental crown during the scene. Rather than call for another take, Marshall is said to have kept the raw, unfiltered footage, turning an accident into the film's most emotionally honest confrontation. Beneath its polished surface, the production is remembered as being far from smooth. Roberts reportedly had limited driving experience going into the scenes where Vivian takes the wheel of Edward's car, leading to some tense moments on narrow studio streets, with crew allegedly standing by in case something went wrong. The car itself has its own story. Several luxury automakers are said to have declined to lend vehicles to the shoot due to the film's subject matter, which is how a struggling British sports car brand ended up supplying the vehicle instead, a partnership that reportedly gave the company a notable sales boost once the film became a hit. Some location shooting is also described as informal, with crews reportedly working quickly in real Los Angeles locations without full permitting, relying on speed rather than paperwork to get shots before drawing attention. Given how different the original script was, it's no surprise that several film scenes never made it into the final version. Accounts describe an early, grittier sequence showing Vivian's character dealing with addiction, footage that was reportedly shot but ultimately cut in favor of the lighter, more whimsical bathtub sequence that made the final film. Another discarded ending is said to have kept much of the original script's bleakness, with Edward and Vivian parting ways for good, and Vivian left only with the money from their arrangement. Test audiences reportedly responded poorly to anything resembling that darker tone, pushing the studio toward the more redemptive ending audiences eventually saw. The film's now famous poster, Roberts and Gere standing back-to-back in Evening Wear, is one of the most recognizable images from 1990s Hollywood. But according to the story, the pose used for marketing wasn't fully Roberts' own. A body double is said to have been used to figure in the image, with Roberts' face composite on afterward. Gere's hair color was also reportedly altered digitally for the final poster. The final image, while iconic, apparently wasn't a literal photograph of either actor as they appeared on set. The scarlet gown Vivian wears to the opera has become one of film's most memorable costumes, but the color wasn't a given. Studio executives reportedly preferred a black dress, seeing it as safer and more restrained. Costume designer Marilyn Vance is said to have pushed back, arguing that red better captured the character's transformation in that moment. After screen tests comparing both options, the red version won out and became one of the most iconic costume choices in romantic comedy history. Robert's laugh became something of a signature element of the film, but getting it on camera naturally wasn't always easy, according to behind-the-scenes accounts. Marshall reportedly used small, unscripted moments, including surprising her physically during takes, to draw out genuine reactions rather than performed ones, with some of that authentic footage reportedly finding its way into multiple scenes throughout the film. Perhaps the most consequential change of the entire production was the ending. The original script offered no rescue and no romantic resolution, just a quiet, unresolved parting. Multiple alternate endings are said to have tested poorly with audiences before Marshall reportedly wrote the now famous limousine and fire escape, ending in a single sitting, pitching it to the cast the next day. That last minute, when Pretty Woman hit theaters in 1990, it instantly became one of the defining romantic comedies of its era. But the smooth, glossy love story audiences fell for had a much messier journey to the screen, a production full of near disasters, script battles, and moments of pure improvisation that somehow became magic. One of the film's most beloved moments is Vivian singing along to Prince's Kiss while soaking in an oversized mountain of bubbles. On screen, it looks effortless and joyful. Off screen, the story goes, it was anything but. According to popular accounts, the production wanted bubbles that would hold their shape for hours under hot studio lights, so crew allegedly used an unusually strong detergent to get that effect. The claim is that the harsh soap irritated Robert's skin and even stripped color from her hair overnight, forcing a re-dye before shooting could resume. Then came the moment everyone still talks about. While filming the scene where Vivian dunks her head underwater, the crew reportedly slipped out of the room as a joke. When she resurfaced, she found herself completely alone. Her shocked reaction, followed by real laughter, is said to be part of what made the final cut so charming. Genuine surprise standing in for scripted comedy. Long before the fairy tale ending, the project existed as a very different story. Screenwriter J.F. Lawton's original draft, titled 3000, was a stark drama rather than a romance. In that version, a wealthy corporate dealmaker pays a woman working the streets of Los Angeles a flat fee for a week of company. There was no makeover, no rescue, just a bleak character study touching on poverty, addiction, and the transactional nature of the arrangement. When Disney acquired the project, the tone changed dramatically. Rather than a story about power and disposability, the studio reportedly pushed for something lighter, recasting the lead character's rough edges as charm and emotional distance. The grim ending was reworked entirely, eventually becoming the now iconic conclusion where the two leads choose each other. What started as a cautionary tale is said to have been reshaped, scene by scene, into the glossy romantic fantasy that defined the genre for a decade. It's hard to picture anyone but Julia Roberts as Vivian, but according to widely repeated industry stories, she nearly lost the role after Disney took over the project. At just 21 and still a relatively unknown actress, she was reportedly seen by some executives as too raw for the studio's newly softened, more polished version of the story. Other actresses are said to have been floated as alternatives during that period. Director Gere Marshall is credited with insisting she stay, having seen something in her early auditions that convinced him she was essential to the film's chemistry. The stories say the pressure didn't disappear once she was confirmed. Accounts describe a young actress who was nervous before nearly every scene, channeling that anxiety into the very vulnerability audiences responded to. The scene where Edward snaps the jewelry box shut on Vivian's fingers, sending her into surprised laughter, has become one of the most replayed moments in romantic comedy history. As the story goes, it wasn't scripted at all. During rehearsal, the chemistry reportedly felt stiff. So Marshall is said to have quietly encouraged Gere to do something unexpected. When the cameras rolled, Gere's snap of the box caught Roberts off guard, and her reaction was real. What makes the anecdote even more striking is the detail that the necklace used in the scene was an actual high-value piece of jewelry on loan for shoot, reportedly guarded closely throughout filming given the risk of damage. A small, spontaneous gag involving genuine jewelry apparently became one of cinema's most enduring romantic beats. Before it became synonymous with Edward Lewis, Richard Gere reportedly turned the script down more than once, viewing it as a slight, glossy premise that didn't fit his more serious body of work. The story goes that a casual meeting arranged by Marshall between Gere and Roberts changed his mind, with Roberts supposedly passing him a handwritten note asking him to say yes. Whatever happened in that meeting, Gere signed on shortly after. 1.